Have you had a chat with Angus about the race yet, or are you just kind of going, yeah, you know, how you doing, Angus? Are you avoiding mentioning it, or are you?
Well, I think I didn't know he was going to enter, so I think I said too much before he entered, and then he entered. I was like, oh, well, I shouldn't have said some of those things, should I? No, I mean, we both see it as like. We both see it as a really good opportunity for because we're on the same team now. Like, obviously, we're each trying for like selection, but at the end of the day, we're on the same team. So I'd obviously like him to do well, and I'm sure, well, I hope he'd like me to do well. Like, if he wins in a good race, I'll be very happy for him. But I've been trying to, it's a bit of gamesmanship that goes on, but not too much.
Yeah. And you racing your sister. I know you must have raced Charlotte often, Mathilda, but not in this event, an event like the Wingfields.
No, and though you keep calling me Charlotte, and Wade repeatedly said, Charlotte, yes, you can defend your title. So it seems like something's going on in the fact that Charlotte's clearly deemed to win it. I've never actually raced a side by side. So.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I've never raced a side by side. And we're actually starting next to each other. So this is actually.
When are you drawn? Which lane are you guys drawn in?
You're in 4 and Charlotte's in 5, maybe?
Yeah. I know I'm sandwiched between her and Hannah Scott.
Yeah.
4 and 5, and then Georgie Brayshaw's in 6.
So yeah, this is actually the first time I will be racing a side by side. As every other previous trials, we've ended up in opposite semis or different finals. And then she wasn't well for Olympic trials this year. So yeah, I've never raced a side by side.
That's a massive thing. Yeah. Sisters racing each other. Oh wow, that's so cool. That's worth the attendance money just to watch.
So yeah, that's going to be new.
Yeah, maybe Mathilda, you can take us through your 6 competitors, a little just sort of bio of who they are and what they're like.
So obviously, I know like the 2 squad members far better, and I apologise, I'll be more ropey on the other people. Obviously, like Charlotte, my sister, clearly I know very well. She did the team with me she joined September 2018, having done the double with Anna at Senior Worlds and having won and broken the record at under 23s. She did juniors in 2014, getting a bronze in the quad. And then last year she qualified the quad with me, and she stroked the boat at Linz at the World Championships. So yeah, I know Charlotte very well. Yeah, I know Charlotte very well.
So what about Hannah? Hannah Scott. What about Hannah Scott?
Hannah Scott, I don't know that. I know her more by her reputation. I know her more as a person when I was in Sierra Nevada. Both of us. I think
what's her reputation?
Well, she's a very good sculler. She's a very good sculler. She went. I'm right in thinking she went to Virginia, Princeton, orange kit. Went to Princeton, and so was sweeping out there. I think she did a pair as under 23s, and I want to say got a medal.
Silver medal.
Oh, yeah.
And Poznan.
Yeah. So yeah.
And won the pairs event at Henley.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. And race against Hattie and Rowan.
Yeah.
In the pair,
so no, she's very, very competent in a small boat. But again, this is my first time racing her, so.
Oh wow! And then there are 2 Tideway Scullers, Katie Wilkinson-Feller and Saskia Budget. Yeah.
So Katie, I know she's been on the scene trialing for quite a few years, but I'm not sure she's made it.
So Katie's so because I used to row at Scullers, so Katie is an incredibly talented athlete, like a huge engine and like a really, really good sculler, but she's just been on the wrong end of some injuries over the past few years. So she nearly got to under 23s and then had a back injury and then just had to sit out a few seasons. But she's actually been training extremely well this season and looks to be in really good form. So Katie.
Yeah, and then Sass, she was new to the squad last year. She trains full time with us. Admittedly, she is in absolutely great shape. We did 2Ks 2 weekends ago, and she PB'd on that. She PB'd on that test. So no, she's in really, really good shape at the moment. Incredibly powerful, and again knows the Tideway, having been from Tideway Scullers. Yeah. So yeah, she's definitely good.
Georgia Brayshaw she came 6th in the time trial.
Yeah. So she was on the team up until Olympic trials, and then she went back to Leander. Again, hugely talented athlete, really powerful, and good at moving a single. Does, as Sam said, did capsize, but you can't use that in any way against her. Like, I'll be really excited to see.
She also nearly went on the wrong side of the AET in the warm-up.
Yes.
So maybe if she studied the map a bit more, she'll be very dangerous. But,
so I'm kind of banking on her steering not being her forte, so that then I don't have to worry about actually racing her. But,
so, can you give us a little short biography of your competitors?
Yeah, sure. So let me think. So to the left of me in lane 6 is Viktor Kleshnev, son of Valery Kleshnev, famous for his rowing biomechanics and all that. He's just finished his freshman year at Harvard. He was at Maidenhead. I believe he's now training at Leander. He's a very talented sculler. Yeah. I've never actually raced him because I guess we're like 4 or 5 years apart in age. But he's from what I know, he's a very talented sculler, and he'll be really quick. Then there's me. Then there's Calvin. So Calvin learned to row at Team Keen, I think, and then went to Tideway Scullers for a little bit, and then went to St Paul's, where he was part of that really quick 8, and I think he won the Junior World Championships in the 4, maybe once or twice in a row. I can't remember. Twice. Okay. And then so he won Sculler's Head as a junior, which was very impressive. Something I never managed to do. And then What
was your best finish in the Sculler's Head as a junior, Sam?
4th, I think. 4th. Yeah.
Whoa, that's fantastic.
Thank you. That's all right. And then so then he's gone to Harvard now. I rode with him in the second 8 in my last year at Harvard. We had a really good season. He's a really he's a great guy. It's actually like a field of like generally really great guys. But he's an extremely talented sculler. He goes, I think, 5:52 on the erg. He's very strong as well.
Yeah.
Then he came second in the time trial. Then there's Angus. Angus, who kind of everyone like. I mean, he's probably the most well known of the people there. So he is a Rio Olympian in the quad. He's very strong, talented sculler. He's got under 23 medal. Senior world medal. He's definitely gone under 23 medal with Jack in the double. And is like he's an extremely talented sculler. He rode at Walton and then went to Durham, and then he represented Leander. And then there's the 2 guys who I like rode with at under 23s in the quad. That's Matt and George Bourne. So Matt, who's in lane 2, I think, is like absolutely, he's Man Mountain. He's absolutely huge. He's 110 kilos of like. Oh my god! And he's massive and very powerful, but like also a really like shockingly like agile and like light on his feet as well. He doesn't just like lumber around. He kind of knows how to move a boat. So he's kind of been like just on the cusp of the senior team, and so he's actually like one of the like Olympic squad people. But he's not training at Caversham. He's training at Nottingham at the moment just because of COVID. So he's like, I think he really is looking to try and qualify the single this year for Tokyo. So he's trying to get his single up to a standard where he can get then sent by GB to the final Olympic qualification regatta, then hopefully go to Tokyo in the single. So he's really talented. He's been rowing for ages, but came through the start system because he's huge, and now is really good. And then George Bourne, who's so he's representing Nottingham, and then George Bourne, who's representing Scullers. He just finished off at Durham last year. He was bow of the quad that we raced in 2019 in Saratoga. And so Matt was 2 of the quad in 2018 and 2019, and then George was the spare in 2018 when we had Rowan Law at bow, and then George was at bow in 2019 after Rowan had aged out. So yeah, George hasn't been rowing that long. He started off doing cross country. He's been rowing for maybe 4 years, 5 years now, but he's like just huge positive trajectory in his technique, in his power, and he just works really hard. He's a really hard worker. So he's he'll be really one to watch. He can put in a very, very good performance.
Yeah. So are you guys confident about the conditions? I did take a look at the weather forecast. It looks like a southwesterly wind, which I think blows headwind as the course turns.
Headwind on the 8th, I think.
Yeah.
I don't even know which side's which. So to know
come on, Mathilda.
I'm awful. I still can't even get which side is for Henley, and I've raced them many times. And honestly, if the race is longer, it really does suit me. So if it's a whacking great headwind and really rough and wavy, fantastic. That's going to be all the better.
What are your starts like then over 2K? Do you go out? Do you go out in front? Are you the first to 500, or do you tend to come through in the third quarter or something like that?
No, I'm generally faster out. I've got slower over the years. I did the final Olympic qualification regatta, and I did actually beat Emma Twigg to the first 500 and then blew my doors off. So I've definitely learned like completely.
You beat Emma to 500?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not to 2K though, unfortunately. I if I get it right, I can be up there at the start. I'm not that big, I'm not that powerful. I do rely more on technique and the race being longer. But drag racing's fun. Like Sam said, the quicker you get out, the quicker you can kill the race off, and the less you have to race. I'd much rather do it that way rather than trying to fight behind, especially if steering's not my forte. Trying to weave in and out of people and potentially not being in the stream is more stressful for me.
So do you think your kind of nasty side might come out in terms of this competition? Because normally in 2K it's all in lanes and everything, but used to be with the match racing and head-to-head when University of London raced Oxford, when they had wooden blades, they'd take a whole set of blades out because there'd be so many blades broken. There was so much aggravation and, clashing. Do you think you'll discover that dark side of your nature during this event?
I want to say no, but equally, whether my steering's unpredictable and unintentionally go on the wrong side or intentionally go on the wrong side, I can't vouch for either of them. It's a race. I'll be lying if I say I don't have any intention of going and winning it. And that certainly means putting myself in the best place at every point of the race. And it's a long race, but equally it's a lot easier if you're winning it than if you're trying to slog through someone. So I'd rather control the race rather than trying to play against someone.
So Sam, you must believe you can win this race next Thursday. I have to say it's next Thursday, and the women's race is at 10:45. Is that right? 10:30, and the men's race is at 11:45.
Yeah, exactly, 11:45. That just gives enough time for the wash to settle down, the boats to turn back around. It's like the boat race, basically.
So you must believe you can win this race, Sam.
Yeah, no, definitely, I definitely believe I can win the race. I think side by side is more my forte than a time trial format.
Why?
I don't know, just seeing and then so I think in the time trial, I started off first and Angus was just behind me, and I could see that I knew that if I was within a few seconds of Angus, I would get through the time trial. So I was like, okay, well, Angus took a little bit on me in the first half, and then I took almost the same amount in the second half of the race. And I was like, this seems like enough to get me through. So I won't absolutely kill myself, but so it wasn't like a super, super hard race. It was pretty full pull, but not quite. I think, I back myself definitely, because I've got a lot of Tideway experience, so that's really helpful for me. I think, I think having raced it as well, I think George is the only person I think who's raced it before. So I think having done it before, I kind of know how to do it a little bit. So that's very helpful.
A big advantage.
Yeah, I think there's some advantage there. But yeah, I guess obviously there's a lot of like, it's a race on the Tideway. There's a lot of stuff can happen. But I think it's just like making sure that you're in the like right place that the things that can happen to other people, not you. So like it's stuff like, I don't know, like making sure you've got a splash guard on your boat, like, or like building a pump for your boat, or like or like
steering device.
Yeah, exactly. Just get someone with a remote control. So it's stuff like that, making sure like you're on the right gearing, stuff that I think can be a little bit, if you're used to racing on 2K lakes where it's always like the Disneyland of rowing, you're kind of, okay, well, it's going to be about the same. Like maybe you get like the odd like Rotterdam World Cup or whatever where it's a bit weird, but I think having been used to rowing like on the Tideway, and then also like throughout university rowing on the Charles, where there's that big basin in Boston where it really chops up. I'm very used to rowing in these really bad conditions, and I think just trying to make sure that I can make the most of anything that's difficult.
Sam, Dan Spring, aka Fat Sculler, has asked a question. I was going to talk to you about who's the biggest name you guys have taken down after that Emma Twigg comment of yours, Mathilda. But Dan Spring asks about a story that when you beat Olaf Tufte, and Olaf thought you were the new British sculler and didn't believe you were a junior. So is that true?
Yeah, it's true. So I in 2014, when I was 17. So we would always go and race the Armada Cup, which was this, for those who don't know, it's
the Armada Cup.
Yeah, so it's a massive race in Switzerland, which it's about 300 scullers enter, and it's a mass start. It's 9. It's not. It says it's 9K long. I don't think it can be 9K long because we'd often finish in 30 minutes, which I think is too quick. So it's about 8, maybe like 7.5K long, 8K long. But it's on this like lake. Which then develops into a very, very small river at the end before the finish. And basically, I ended up, it's awesome because you get masters women racing with Olympic champions. So you get all in singles. So you get this entire breadth of the like rowing community all turning up and racing in pretty much a fair race. Basically you end up in different rows, and because of my previous performance, I ended up in the front row and ended up, and also like you also like should end up in the front row if you're like on it. So I was in the front row and ended up just being ahead of Olaf, and then just managed to hold him off for the race. It's one of those ones like it's like the Wingfield where there's a test of boatmanship as well. I knew where the path through the weeds was. I knew where the sandbanks were. I knew all this stuff, and so like basically managed to get ahead of him for the final bit in the river, and then just like hung on for like 2K at 30 rate 35, like I was just like blocking him as much as I could, and then finished one place ahead of him, which was awesome. I love crossing the finish line. He's like, "Oh, you raced Alan?" I'm like, "Alan?" Alan? He's like, "Yeah, Alan Campbell." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm 17." And he was like, kind of jokingly, he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, F you then."
I love that story. One of the things I wanted to ask you, just we'll come back to the Wingfields just in just a moment. I know you've got to go to training at 2, Mathilda, but European Championships happened 10 days ago. And I don't know whether you guys caught the action. There was some stunning racing. I mean, men's singles was particularly exciting, and Sunita was out there in women's singles. The Dutch men's quad, the Dutch women's quad, sensational too. What did you guys make of all that from Caversham?
We watch all the racing. We watch all the racing, and I think we were actually quite happy not to be there because we think how we've organised the year is actually like pretty beneficial for racing at the Olympics. So it was really cool to be able to watch it, but like we're pretty happy we stayed here. I think like doing like stuff like the Wingfields kind of substitutes that bit of racing in. Yeah. But like Dutch men's quad looked like really good, there are a lot of crews that look like very, very good there. I think the Dutch team, especially in general, have done a really good job in preparing their athletes over over the like lockdown and coronavirus periods. So it's very impressive to watch some of the crews, the really slick, dialed-in crews that are coming out of there. I think like watching. Yeah, I mean, I've been mainly paying attention. Yeah, singles was an incredible race, like probably like nearly as good as Linz last year. Which is just amazing. And then quad, like some stunning sculling in that, and then double as well. That was a really tight race. That was all like at least like it was a lot of movement in the field, which was really cool to watch. So we watched it and like we're happy not to be there. But it's also like really good for us to like see how other nations have fared. And it's also really interesting, I think, like because we all kind of think, oh well, like lockdown will have affected everyone so much, or like no one's been out on the water or whatever, and then like. I mean, we've got people setting PBs on the erg here. We get out on the water, we're going the same speed we used to, and we watch the racing, and everyone looks really good. And it's quite interesting seeing how, like, well, everyone's taken a step back, and it's just nothing has really changed. And it's quite interesting, like, seeing that and thinking about how, like, how that can be brought into, like, training a little bit more, and just, like, I mean, just people who, like, maybe someone gets injured, then just, like, they can have a bit more of the confidence to say, well, actually, like, all these people have taken like 3 months off the water, and they have a week where they're terrible, and then like Mathilda, who like how long did you have off the water?
6 months.
6 months, exactly. Like, and it's just like, well, it's just fine. Like it doesn't really matter. So it's kind of really interesting to look at it like that. But what do you think of the racing?
I didn't actually watch any of it.
What?
No, I never watch any of the racing, so like that's not out of like the norm for me. I find it too stressful.
Really?
Yeah, like I guess I empathize too much. Like I know what it would feel like if I won, lost, or whatever. So I'd rather just not watch it. I mean, most of the time, like I won't even watch my own race. So, like unless the coach brings the race to the debrief, I won't go and look it out. I might have someone be like, have you seen the race? I'll be like, no. And they're like, you need to look at this bit. And they will literally have to bring me the laptop. Because for me, I don't watch it. So I contrast quite strongly.
I only watch it. It depends how I've done in the race, then I'll watch it.
That's really interesting. I'm going to ask you just to come back to the Wingfields now. I mean, you're both champions. You talked about the history of the race. How much of a sense of history do you feel or pleasure do you take from being a Wingfields champion and being, you know, in some part a custodian of this race's future?
I think going back to what Sam said earlier, like with being on the committee, you could see like the names of the people who have won it before. And certainly when I won it in 2015, like I wasn't on the senior team. So to be down with people who have won Olympic medals, and then to be like, I've actually won the same event as them. Okay, I didn't race them, but I still go down on the trophy with them, is something that I don't think I'd ever get another opportunity to like be on that sort of semi-equal footing with them. So that's really very special to be part of.
Yeah, I feel a huge amount of honor, like being in ranks with these people. It is absolutely amazing. I think it's really exciting as someone who's like, I obviously used to watch the race every year because it would just come past the boathouse at Westminster. I think it's really exciting for me to be able to be a part of like promoting the race in the future going forwards and trying to like make sure that it maintains its status as one of the premier sculling events in the country, if not the premier sculling event in the country. And I think also one thing to note this year is that it's the only it's the only, well, it will be by the end of this year, the only chance for open side-by-side racing to take place in the country. So that's a really exciting situation. It's the only, like, whoever wins this race is the only person who's got any right to like claim to be British champion. And so it's quite a cool, like, you can say, well, trials, but then trials has an earn cut off and stuff. Like this race is fully open. It just like, if you got through the time trial, you can turn up and race. So like that's something really, really cool. That hopefully we can maintain that status going forward, where it is really seen as like okay, well, like this super prestigious event. Yeah.
And I guess we should add that there are plans to put the event out live or practically live on social media with people filming by camera phones, I think is the idea.
Adam Freeman-Pask and Jamie Kirkwood are having a dry run this weekend with some internal racing at Thames, I think. And then if that all goes to plan, I think there's going to be some like high-tech behind-the-scenes solution for videoing. I think it's going to go out over YouTube and maybe Instagram as well. I'm not quite au fait with the exact like intricacies of it. Kind of left that to them. But yeah, no, there'll definitely be. I think just like keep an eye on the Wingfields Twitter account, the Wingfields Instagram account, and hopefully we'll try and get a fair amount of promotion done over like various channels, so people will be able to watch it wherever they are. And yeah, just also to add to that, like, please don't come and watch the race. Like, if you're out on the water anyway, like, fine, like, well, please stop your launch. But if you're out on the water, like, turn your head and that, or if you're in the pub, I mean, a bit early to be in the pub, but if you're in the pub, like, watch whatever. But yeah, please don't come down. We're trying not to have any spectators there, just because of the coronavirus regulations. But yeah, please do tune into the race on, I think, YouTube and Instagram.
And just finally, I know you're both at Caversham. I mean, how is the mood at Caversham? It's, you know, there's been a lot of change there. It seems from your mood, you're generally very up and positive, and from what you were talking about in terms of the Europeans. Yeah.
I think going back to COVID, like, it's a smaller group here. Like, you definitely appreciate actually being able to talk to people, which we obviously weren't able to for 6 months. Like, we did have a weekly like Zoom call. But actually being able to see each other on a day-to-day basis, like, it's so nice. We've never appreciated that quite so much. And we're really lucky we're in a bubble. So, like, we can see each other in training. Like, obviously, like, we are following all the protocols. Like, we do wear masks, except when we are literally training. But it feels more normal because we've been able to create, like, a bubble environment. So it's just a bit of safety and a bit more of normality.
Yeah.
But again, still having that everyone has the same collective goal to move forwards on. So it really does feel like a team.
Yeah.
And that's really nice to be part of.
Yeah.
You concur, Sam, or would you?
Yeah, I agree. I think also with, like, obviously it's changed a little bit with Jurgen retiring. So we've lost like a huge talent in Jurgen as both a coach and program setter and manager and motivator in general. But I think it's also given a really good opportunity for the coaches who are here to kind of show their true colours and really like flourish in the role. Whereas before, like, it's just how the system's set up. Like, or Jurgen would write a program, the coach would kind of implement the program, and the athletes would kind of do the program. There's now the coaches who are implementing the program are the one who are setting the program. I think that's certainly both have their advantages, but just in terms of a communication thing, rather than having Jurgen communicating with 70 different athletes across 15 different boats, it gets quite challenging for the entire system. For us, we've got Paul Stanley and Dan Moore in charge of our group, and they're looking after 8 of us, and that feels really nice. It's a really good relationship that we've got at the moment, very open and very able to just talk about what the way to do this is. Whereas before, if we wanted to have a conversation about the program, if you'd have 70 people would then individually need to go to Jurgen, which would be an absolute calamity. But now we can kind of chat to the coaches, and they know exactly what they want us to be doing each session. Not that didn't happen before; they knew exactly what they wanted, but it just feels a bit more direct now, which is really good. And I think the coaches, the challenge with Jurgen retiring was always can the coaches maintain what has made British rowing such a powerhouse in the past? And I think because everyone here has been working with or under Jurgen for so long, that's really meant that a lot of the emphasis that Jurgen had and the impetus that Jurgen put into the program has really carried on in a very, very positive way.
Yeah. You two guys have been so articulate. Truly great champions. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend 45, 50 minutes in your company, and it's certainly whetted my appetite for next Thursday's race. Because I think there's nothing that I can't do other than sit on social media and watch you guys do your thing. And I wish you the very best of luck. But thank you so much for being part of this build up to the Wingfield Sculls, a fantastic event and one of which you're both champions of. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.